Hi, thank you for joining in again today. So, this is the first full week that I'm having of these elegantly raw tidbits, which is what I'm calling them. And this is just to bring to your attention some things that I think are critical for health and or healing, and also to answer any questions or issues that you might have, either from the Elegantly Raw show on Sundays or just in your life in general. As a life coach and a wellness and detox coach, I think it's important to connect with the people who follow us and make sure that their questions are answered and their struggles are addressed as well. So welcome, 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 welcome. We're talking today, I'm so happy, about the cell, about cellular regeneration. Would you believe this is every single cell in your body? This is what most they look like. This is a typical picture of a cell. If you can go close to the screen, you can see for yourself all the different things that comprise the cell. So the cell is quite elaborate, isn't it? Here's another one. If you want to have a look at this one, this is a little simpler, so you'll see that the cell structure is very dynamic, and this is exactly what makes up each and every single person. So here you have a 3D of what the cell looks like. This is what makes up everything that we have in our body is made up of these cells. Everything that we have in our body. There's nothing in our body where we cannot find cells. So if we have all these cells in our bodies, then why is it that we have so much attention given to other things in our body other than the cell? So look at your human cell. We have so many different cells. We have red blood cells. We have ovum cells. We've got the smooth muscle cells. We've got the sperm. We've got bone cells. We've got ovum. We've got nerve cells. We've got all these cells in our bodies, and we need to pay attention to them, because without paying attention to them, we forget about them. We totally forget about them. We do not address them. And then what ends up happening is that we are so sorry when we get sick and when we get ill. So hello, Almaster Cooking Show, nice to have you there. Oh, you love biology. Not everyone does, unfortunately. So I'm not going to go into it very strongly today because that will turn some people off. But I'm definitely putting the photos back up so that you can remember for yourself your biology classes, your physiology and anatomy classes, which is so important to remember and to actually address. So these are the cells. This is what makes up your body. We've got eyes, we've got feet, we've got toes, we've got hands, but when you break it down to the most basic structure, this is what they're made up of, the cells. And this is what the cell looks like. So each cell is important for something else. There's nothing that doesn't contain a cell. And yet we do not pay attention to the cells. Why is that? Well, for one thing, I think it's because we're just not interested. We have not been interested since we were children. And yet the cell is the basic structure and functional unit of our lives. This is what affects our health on a very deep level. If you want really great health, pay attention to your cells and realize that everything affects the cells, from what we put on our skin. So I put aloe vera on my face, to everything we put on our skin, to what we eat, to what we drink or do not drink. Most people are dehydrated. If your cell is dehydrated, it's on its way to an illness. If you are also not aware that the cell creates waste, this is very important what I'm about to tell you. Your cells create waste, and the waste must be removed from the cells. So in order to remove the waste from the cells, what do you need? You need something that's liquid to get the actual waste from the cells through the lymph. The lymph is what pulls away the waste from the cell. And to get it back into the blood, we need the lymph. So because we need the lymph, that is what we need to start paying attention to, is the lymph. And most places and most people do not pay attention to their lymph system. So the lymphatic system is a whole network of all of these tissues and organs that help us to get rid of the toxins that we put on our skin, the makeup, if we have toxic makeup on. It's very important that all the makeup, the things, the skincare is vegan and clean and non-toxic, because otherwise we are creating a tremendous amount of work for cells to get rid of, and then we block the cells. Now when the cell is blocked, how does the waste get out of it? Through the lymph. But if there's too much of it and the lymph is also blocked, how does it get out? It doesn't. This is what creates disease and illnesses. This is why we have too much mucus. This is why we have so many fat cells. The body creates fat in order to store the waste, and the waste has to get out somehow. But if the lymph is clogged, the sewage system of the body is the lymph. And if it is clogged, then there is no way for the waste to get out. And this is why we have all of these illnesses and diseases. The most important system we need to pay attention to is the lymphatic system. When we do so, we have the most incredible manifestation of health. All the exhaustion, the tiredness, all the feeling of being clogged, or our skin becomes radiant and it becomes soft and beautiful. When we move the lymph, when we cleanse the lymph, that's what we get. But we do not pay attention to it, and because in the US, actually, in medical school, they're not taught about the lymphatic system. Ask any nurse or any dietitian or any nutritionist or any doctor. They may mention it, but they do not know much about it, and therein lies the problem. So what I would love to see is all vegans start learning about the lymph and start cleaning out their lymph, and make sure that they do not in any way, shape, or form cause anything to block it. And when they do, make sure that the kidneys are filtering. So right above the kidneys we have the adrenals. Without the adrenals working 100%, and my adrenals for most of my life were not working 100%, even though I'm a lifelong vegan. It's not enough. What we have to do is eat the food that the body needs. What is the most perfect food for the lymphatic system? Fruits. Yes, those delightful, tasty, sweet, incredibly delicious fruits. Fruits are what we need to move the lymph. If you're not eating a diet of fruits, if you're not starting off the day with fruits, your lymph is getting clogged. If your lymph is getting clogged, then the cells cannot get rid of the waste, and that therefore creates blockages in the cellular structure around the cells. You're going to have blockages. So there can no longer be an exchange of between the tissues, the tissue of the waste products and the products that come in to energize and replenish and regenerate the cell. Then you have a breakdown. That's why we have so many diseases. They're known as by so many different names. It's the same illness, it's the same disease. It's a lack of movement in the lymphatic system. It's a breakdown. It's the sewage system getting clogged and getting stuck. If you take nothing else away from these series that I'm doing on a regular basis every single weekday at this time, please remember that. And so the best thing for you to do in the mornings is to eat fruits. Not only are they the perfect food for the to move the lymphatic system, but also for the adrenals and for the to filter the kidneys, because without the kidneys filtering, everything else just gets clogged, and the adrenals are really affected when the fit kidneys are not filtering. And your adrenals are what we need all day long for everything in our life. So I invite you to explore the world of fruits. And if you have any questions or any comments, please share them now, because I would like this to be a conversation. We go back to back. You almost went to college to be a biologist. I am not surprised. I wish you had gone, because we need more people who are really into biology and who have this love for the body to be in the position where they can influence what is taught most in medical schools. And I wanted to go to university and study to be a dietitian. I was not in the United States, and I applied in the United States, and when I found out they were not studying about many of the things that I was interested in, such as the lymph, I decided not to, because I looked at the curriculum for dietitians and nutritionists and I was stunned. First of all, I was a lifelong vegan. There was no mention of veganism. There was no mention of how plant-based diet is important and what a plant-based diet does. And I was shocked. And I thought, what am I studying then? I'm not studying something that's helpful at all. And I won't be able to help myself or anyone else. So I did not go to school to do that. I went to Living Light Culinary Arts Institute, and there I did study and get a degree to be a living foods nutritionist. And that's what and counselor, and that's what I did instead. I went for the foods that were alive, the foods that give us not only the energy, but also create ourselves. I wanted on a cellular level to restructure my body and to cleanse my body. And that was so important to me. And that is why I invite you all to start learning anatomy and physiology and your own biology, because the more you know is the more powerful you can be. The less we know is the more disempowered we are. So I invite you to please pay attention to your cells. Pay attention to your cellular structures, to the health of your cells, because that is where everything happens. All disease starts and all health blooms and is maintained. So until tomorrow, thank you so much for joining me, and I so look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Bye for now.